Okay, the recording started here. So last night in the live session, we went over brand statements, how everybody does have a brand, and we went about writing a brand statement. Not every live session assignment is going to be easy as far as in simple. You will be challenged. The important thing is meet those challenges, meet them head on, put your best effort into it. Okay. Not everything's going to be perfect, but the point is to try, challenge yourself, expand your efforts, put everything into it. Okay. And this is important. This is a career change. Everything's going to be new. Experiences are going to be new. You're not always going to be 100%, but the point is you learn from it. Okay. This is important. Learning is part of the process. None of us, none of your instructors, none of the people at the campus, none of the people you worked for got there with the instant knowledge. Okay. None of us got here with the instant knowledge. We had to learn. We had mentors, we had teachers, we had instructors, we had co-workers. This is key. We learn by doing, we learn by making mistakes, owning up to those mistakes and growing from them. This class is allowing you to do that. Okay. So whenever you have an assignment, a challenge, and you're unsure of it, do your best. Make an attempt. Do what you think is right. Ask questions. Okay. Asking questions is scary. It makes you seem vulnerable. People feel like they're going to be ridiculed. You're not going to be ridiculed. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. That's again how we learn, how we grow, how we develop our skills. If you're an electrician, if you're an HVAC tech, if you're a medical assistant, if you're a vet tech or a vet assistant, you need to ask questions. There could be severe consequences without asking questions. Patients could get wrong doses, wrong diagnostic information could be sent. People's houses could get the wrong equipment installed. There could be overloads of circuitry. Uh, Wrong schematics could be used. Things could be welded improperly. There could be overloads. Stress factors could happen. This is why we have structural failures. So, again, learn, feel comfortable in your own skin and confident in yourself that it is okay to ask and to grow. This class, we learn a lot about ourselves, and this is another essential thing. We grow by learning about ourselves. So you should have already learned a little bit about yourself. We learned a little bit in our personality type last week. Um, our dream job research, where you named a person that you thought about in your career. You're going to start doing that interview and you're going to start bringing that information. Those results are going to be coming due here. You're going to be meeting and going over your resume. You're putting that together. So you are developing you. This class is about you, not just about skills that are arbitrary. This is growing you into the career that you chose and you want. If you're a welder, it's not just going into the shop and standing around and laughing with your friends. 90% of a welder's job is outside that booth and being able to negotiate the business. Same thing with electrical technicians. They had to be able to manage their time and themselves in a very complex business sense. A lot happens in the electrical world. HVAC, a lot of people don't realize that's just not regular HVAC. That's refrigeration in drinks, beverages, and commercial situations besides homes. Vet assisting, you're having to deal with the complexities of animals plus the human aspects when you're dealing with clients and your coworkers around dangerous situations. Okay. Same thing with medical assistants. Now you're dealing with the complexities of humans that are not well, they're very uncomfortable, and that can cause a whole different type of dangerous situation. So we're learning about the complexities of our careers, how they affect us throughout this course. So it's very important to prepare ourselves. Tonight, we're going to be learning about preparing for the interview. Any of us had interviews before? Most of us have. Yeah. What's important about the interviews is we can develop better skills with those interviews. Great interviews don't just happen, they're because we have skills that can make them good and make them better. Some people have better skills already, and we're going to enhance them. We're going to grow them. So I'm going to do some screen sharing here. We're going to go over a few things that I think we need to touch base on as well. So I'm going to move some screens around here. So I was made aware of today, not everyone is going into the class proper, which is this main screen right here. And of course, this is where you connect to the live class, but it's also where you get your recordings right here by clicking on that main screen there. This big gray button that says live class connection and recordings. You click on that, and right down here, past recordings, click on that. You'll see there's all the recordings from week 1 and the one last night from Monday. Click on that. That immediately launches into YouTube and plays the video. Tonight, after this class, there will be another entry, and it'll be for Tuesday night. We're going to go back to the home screen. Here's where you will find your assignments. We are in week 2. Click on that week 2 button and you see all the assignments for the week laid out. Now, I've gone over this in the live session before, but I want to go over it here again. We are in Tuesday. Here's where you post your live conference uh, assignment that we will have tonight. You're going to click on that. Once you know what you need to put in here, you'll click Start Assignment, click Text Entry, type in your information, and say Submit Assignment. That is what gains you attendance. Okay, other assignments are required for grade, but to gain attendance in this class, you must submit that assignment. This is a requirement that I did not invent, I did not create. It is the way your certifications and degrees require it to be done. This is not a Mr. Haley invention. I did not come up with this. This is outside my control. Every day you must have this live conference participation assignment. All right. Okay. So I just want you to know that this is a requirement to meet your certifications and your degrees. So please don't think you can skip those and gain attendance by doing other things. Now, tonight, you'll see that even though the discussion opened on Monday, uh, your first post is due Wednesday in the discussion. Go in here, click on the discussion, and you'll see here, tell the story about your worst interview ever. Think about what happened, what you learned, and what you would change if you did that interview today. We all learn and grow. What would you do, if anything? Or if you've never had a bad interview, tell about your best interview, one or the other, good or bad. Okay? Answer everything to get the full credit. So you'll click reply, type in your response here, click post reply. Okay, right there. Boom. Now, you'll need to post to at least one other student. It says two other students. I require one in my class. So if you're listening, you only have to do one other post besides your initial post. All right. So that is your discussion right here. And you'll notice that everything besides the daily assignments close and lock on Sunday. Okay. So even though they are due, they actually lock on Sunday. Now, we have an assignment here for Tuesday, and that is schedule your interview. Now, you scheduled an interview to meet with uh, the uh, career services to go over your resume. Now you're going to be scheduling them for a mock interview. They take this very serious. This is another career services assignment. And what they're going to do is they expect you to show up dressed for an interview. You should have your resume that they have already signed. Bring that with you, and you are going to be interviewed with them. They are going to conduct that interview as though it were a professional interview for your career field. So please be prepared to ask questions and answer questions as though you are live for an interview for your job. Okay. So you just need to tell me when you have your interview scheduled, just like you did last time. Okay. And here's how you schedule your interviews for each one. And then what you'll do is you'll click start assignment, text entry, tell me when your interview is, and say submit assignment. Now, with these assignments where you schedule things, if you do not show up for these scheduled appointments, and they will let me know, I have to go back and I have to remove the points for the scheduling. Okay. If you do not show and participate in these actual assignments for the resume, and for the actual mock interview, those assignment points are removed. You don't get points for not attending those sessions. Okay, so please, when you schedule these appointments, keep those appointments, because for the mock interview, there are a total of 3 assignments associated with that mock interview. And if you miss the mock interview, you will not be able to participate in those other assignments. This is a great opportunity for you to find out exactly what you're doing that is so incredible in those interviews. Okay. They are going to give you real time feedback as to how you can up your game even more. This is not a, oh my God, you're doing this horrible, horrible, horrible. They're going to tell you, this is what you're doing good, and this is how we're going to improve it. So don't look at everything in a negative way. Look at it as a positive way to grow your skills. And that's what I want you to start thinking about. Think of everything in the positive. Okay. We have to go through everything in life. With a positive attitude, we stand a better chance of making it through okay. Because we got to do it. So let's try to make it the best we can. Now, do I always do that? No, I get upset. I don't have, sun shining on me all the time, but I try to make it that way as much as possible because I know I need to do these things. Okay. Now, looking ahead tomorrow, those people that you said you were going to be interviewing, the ones you told me about last week, you should start pulling that information because this week, tomorrow, you should start sending that information in. The people that you interviewed with, okay? You should have asked questions about your career, things that you wanted to know from them, and tomorrow those things are going to start coming due. All right. Now, anybody who has assignments from week 1 that you did not complete, this Sunday will be the absolute last chance you have to turn those in. There will be no other opportunities this month to complete those assignments, and I have not heard from anyone that missed assignments in week 1 that needs an extension. So if you are missing an assignment from week 1, other than the daily live conference, I cannot give you those. If you are missing an assignment from week 1, I need to hear from you because after Sunday, you will not have another opportunity. I cannot give it to you. Going to your campus and requesting it will not work. 7 days after the original date, you can no longer have an extension. So please, if you need something from week 1, I need to know what it is specifically because it has to be individually open for you. You need to send me an email. Let me know what it is. All right. Okay. So we are moving on and we are going to be talking today about preparing for the interview. We've all done them. Let's see if we can find out some more about what we can do to make it that much better, that less scary. Because let me tell you, interviews can be scary. I've been on some horrible ones. Um, One of the worst ones I went on was for a vet clinic. They really wanted me to work there. One of the owners had been into our vet clinic where I work. I went for the interview. If you haven't been on an interview with a vet clinic, they do working interviews, which means you work for free while they are checking to see if they like you. So you're going to work a few hours for free while they test to see if they like you, and then they make their decision. I was working in the front desk area like vet assistants do, and after a while I noticed I wasn't seeing any other workers. I went into the back and I found a doctor and I asked where the techs were, where the other assistants were. They told me I was doing such a great job. They sent the other people home because they figured they could run the office with just me and the doctor. I immediately ended the interview and declined any job offers from them. Always remember if you're not enjoying an interview and you do not wish employment from them, you have control. You can end an interview and say thank you for your time and exit. You do not have to wait for the interviewer. This is something that we have to get used to. You are in control. Always remember that. You control your career at all times. Everybody got that? You are in control. All right? Yes. Okay. So making sure my pen's working here. Whoops, let me go back, get my pen color. Draw my little smiley face. Yay, I'm working. Here we go. So we're going to talk about 3 types of job interviews. And remember, this week we have a midterm. So this information, I hope you're keeping notes. I hope you're watching these videos if you're not watching live, because this information is going to be on the midterm. I do not send out a list of all the questions that are going to be on the midterm. So you need to be keeping track of information. And we'll talk more about the midterm as it comes up here. Okay. So we're going to talk about 3 types of job interviews, which you may be invited to participate, sources of information, contrast to in-persons versus virtuals, types of questions, and examples of questions you may be asked, and identify ways to prepare for an interview. It's a lot of information, so I'm going to split this in 2. We're going to have half of it tonight and half tomorrow. I'm not going to bombard you with that much information. Okay, so at some point after filling out application, you're going to get an invitation to a job interview. Now, if you're sending out uh, applications, I want you to be aware of they have your phone number. They're going to call you. And if you're getting phone calls from people with numbers that you don't expect, please don't be answering your phone by going, "Who dis?" Because I have called people for job interviews and they sound very angry on the phone going, "Who dis? Why are you calling me?" Okay. Now, you have applications out there. You know this. Expect calls from unknown callers. Okay. Or just let them go to voicemail because that initial response is your first way of meeting somebody who could be potentially wanting you to come work for them. So please be careful of that. Okay. Because it can come from a phone call or an email. And those email addresses that you're putting on there, make sure they are professional sounding emails. I strongly recommend that you have a separate email address strictly for job applications. You don't want to have your job applications going to I am so hot at gmail.com. Okay. Well, depending on what job you might be applying for, but most jobs, that's not what you want it to go to. Make sure you have a professional email address. Okay. Respond immediately to emails. You're applying for a job. Don't wait 3 days to check your email. You need to be checking it every day. Okay. At least once a day. And be polite and express interest during that phone call. I strongly suggest you let phone calls go to voicemail if you are not in a situation where you can actually take that call and be polite. If you can't be polite on that call, don't take it right then. Okay? Now, before you even apply, research the company. Okay? There's a reason for this. You need to know its product, services, size, and potential for growth. Okay? You need to check the company website. That is the first place you need to check. You need to know what this company does, what products they have, service sizes. One of the reasons is there's a lot of companies that are scamming new employees. They want you to come there, you work for 2 weeks, and you don't get a paycheck. It's happening all over Florida, especially. People go, they put in 2 weeks of hard work, and there is no paycheck. And they just keep hiring new people. Okay. Make sure how their brand is promoted. We talked about brands. Make sure you see how they're promoted. Okay. See how big they are. See if they're showing their potential for growth. You don't want a company that is so small they are a dead end company. You want them to grow because that means potential growth and income for you. Okay. Now, this is important. It is on the midterm. 3 types of interviews: screening, structured, and unstructured. The first one you usually come to is a screening one. They're just feeling people out. They're kind of informal and they're just checking to make sure you meet the minimum requirements. Okay. Just to see if they want to bring you in for a formal interview. They can ask about your skills, your experience, and your availability. Usually, a recruiter or a hiring manager is going to ask you these questions, usually by phone. Okay. And that's going to help them shrink down that list of people that they want to bring in. Okay. Now, these are two key ones: structured interviews. Everybody they interview are going to get the exact same questions. Everyone. They don't vary it. They want to make sure that they know how people react to the same set of circumstances. This way they can compare them and see who responded the best. Now, the most common one is this here, unstructured. Okay, those are less formal, more like a conversation, and they kind of want you to feel more at home. They're going to ask you in a general situation, more conversation like, and no two are going to be exactly alike. And so they want to know your personality. This allows them to see how you're going to fit in different teams. This is a little bit better sometimes than structured because in structured, they don't really get to know you so much. Now, companies aren't always doing face to face interviews. Okay. They can use virtual interviews using different types of technology, and they can use both in person and virtual, kind of combine them. Okay. So don't be surprised if you're interviewed on the phone or through a Zoom call, or they bring you in and they have people in the same room with you, and they have people on Zoom or some other technology at the same time. Okay. People are combining the technology. Okay. So an in person interview is just that. Everybody's in the same location. And it usually occurs on company property, but it doesn't have to. Sometimes they rent a place in a remote location. Now, sometimes they do this because they don't want everybody in the company to know they are hiring. They might be replacing some candidates and they don't want everybody to know. So they could rent a location or they might be hiring a whole new team in addition to what they have. So they'll conduct the interviews offsite so they're not disturbed. Okay, so remote location interviews are in person interviews held at an offsite location. Now, panel interviews. This is where they bring you in and a group of people interview you as a team. Has anybody had a panel interview where the whole team talks to you? Anybody? No. This is becoming more popular. Um, they want to make sure you're going to fit in. So when you go in, everybody has a copy of your resume and everybody on the team can ask you questions. It's not one on one, it's one on however many people they choose to bring in. Okay. And again, some of these could be remote via technology and in person. So this is something to get used to. There could be 5 people, 10 people, 3 people, 2 people interviewing you at the same time. Okay. So sometimes it's nice to know how many people will be there, but they may not tell you. This is why when you go to an interview, you always have multiple copies of your resume. You want to make sure you can give out copies to every single person in that interview. Take multiple copies. Okay. Now, you should arrive at your interview no earlier than 15 minutes before appointment time. If you get there earlier, wait in your car. Make sure you know where you're supposed to be for the interview. Have the person's contact information with you, their phone number, their name, and where you're supposed to go. Do you go to the front lobby? Do you go to a certain floor? Know how to get a hold of them so that when you get to the building, if you get lost, you're able to reach them. Make sure you know where you're supposed to park. You don't want to get a ticket or park in a place you're not supposed to, and ask about visitor protocols. Do you need a visitor badge? Do you go to a particular area, etc.? Okay. Ask questions. Make sure you know where you're going. Now, virtual interviews, there are two types. telephone, and video. And they're kind of self explanatory about those. And one of the good things, you don't have to travel. One of the bad things is you can have issues. Okay. So if you're going to be doing a video interview, etc., make sure you test your connection. You will be able to reach them. Okay. Make sure beforehand you have sent them your resume or portfolio or any other materials 1 to 2 days before. Okay. So 1 to 2 days before. So that way they have them and they can review them while they are discussing your interview. It's always good to have a copy out so if they refer back to it, you can see exactly what they are talking about. All right. Now that's setting everything up for the interview, and you're going to be ready for those questions. And everybody loves those questions. But before we get into those questions, we're going to do those tomorrow. So I'm going to stop there for part one on those questions. So tonight, I want to know, what is your most hated interview question and why? And I want you to answer both parts. Now, I want you to think about these things because, again, this class is supposed to help you grow. And we're going to talk about questions tomorrow in the interview. Now, I know some of you are going to possibly be out. Are there any vet students online that are going to be at the Raptor field trip? There's a Raptor field trip tomorrow, I believe. Is it tomorrow at the field trip? Let me check. I have it marked. Yes, Wednesday. If anybody is going to the Raptor field trip to gain attendance, your instructor will have work for you to fill out, for you to send to me that will gain you attendance the same way you do these questions today. So if you are on any of these field trips that are sponsored by the school, you do have an assignment that you send in that day for attendance. So just so you know, anybody who does go on those field trips that are sponsored by the school. I do know that there is a Raptor field trip for the vet students if you signed up last month. So tonight's question, what is your most hated interview question and why? Must answer both parts by 11:59 p.m. tonight. Please get that in. Some people did not do the attendance uh, question or the attendance question last night. Those that did the brand statement one, I have to tell you, I was thoroughly impressed. You guys really nailed it. You're really getting to know you, know all about you. You're developing yourself. You're developing your brand. When your name is mentioned, you can see what you stand for. You're starting to see your work ethic. You're starting to see your abilities and how you project them. One thing I want you to really start doing, I want you to stop referring to yourself as students when you meet people and they ask, what are you doing? Start referring to yourself as I am an electrical technician. I am an HVAC technician. I am a veterinary assistant. I am a medical assistant. Start referring to yourself as a professional. Say you are those things that will be graduating on such and such date. Put those first, will be graduating. Start thinking of yourself in that professional manner. You will start recognizing the qualities in you. You have great skills already and you're gaining more, but start turning that around and start boosting yourself up, building your self confidence. All right. Can I get y'all to do that? Start building yourself and believing that ability. Can I get that from y'all? Yes, yes. All right. Dominic's going to do it. I hope Angel, Vikish, and Louise, I hope y'all do this as well. It's very important for y'all to start seeing and changing and moving yourself forward because this is going to come through on those interviews. It's going to come through when you come up for a promotion. It's going to come through if you want to push your careers. All right. So we're going to leave that here. We're going to continue on tomorrow, more with the interview process. So that is it for tonight, and we will see you tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m.